say, man, I don't know her. She's too quiet.
What up, though? It's your girl, She's Too Quiet, and welcome back to the She's Too Quiet podcast. She's Too Quiet is all about remembering your voice matters. Although you're quiet, people are actually interested in you. They want to know where you love to go, what you like to wear, and things you like to do. Remember to continue using your voice because your voice matters. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about love. Happy Valentine's Day. I know I may be a few days late, but happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers and friends out there. On today's episode, we're going to get into a little conversation that, I ain't gonna lie, it's one of my favorite conversations to talk to people about. So, let me tell you what my problem is. Love is such a tricky situation nowadays. I feel like love has really transformed itself into a beast. Love can be so convoluted nowadays. I'm really, I guess I would say I'm very worried about the state of the world when it comes to love, especially in relationships. On Sunday, we were talking about Adam and Eve and the infamous garden whole situation. And I just thought it was interesting that even in the garden, there was like beef between Adam and Eve. Like the whole apple thing that had happened, it's like there was a point to where Adam had told God, like, it's the woman that you gave me, like, it's her fault that I ate the apple. And so I'm like, wow, men and women have really been beefing since the beginning of time. And that still goes on so much today. It's like nothing is new under the sun. Nothing has changed. And I just don't know, like, how will we make the world a better place by loving each other, like men and women? Like, how are we going to change how we do love? Because I think it's not working anymore. How we're doing love right now is not what's up. It's not working. And I don't know, but I am 30 years old, so I am right at that age to where, let's just say, the area in life where you mess around and play around, that kind of era is closing in on me. Like, I feel like I'm out of that era and I'm really ready to like start a family, ready to kind of meet my person and just do life together. But that's how I'm feeling, but that's not necessarily how the world is set up. Like, just because I feel that way doesn't mean that things are gonna pan out in the way that I hope that they would be. Just off of my experience so far, like, I don't want to come off and say like I'm not hopeful for the future, but I just want to say, like, I'm worried about what the future would look like for millennials trying to pursue something more traditional and something more stable in the arena of marriage. Now, what I did was I came up with a few problem areas that I see from a bird's eye view, maybe even from a right in your face view. But these are some things that I feel like is going on right now in the world of love. And I just hope that we can identify some of these issues and work on them, or see what we can do to not become a problem in these areas as we grow and meet new people. So the first area that I came up with, and it's going around a lot nowadays, and that is spinning the block. for example, you got Nelly and Ashanti, you got Scrappy and Erica, you got even your mom and dad. maybe even your mom and dad, they have spin the block on each other, and now they're in a relationship, and that divorce may be overturning into, a reconciliation. So there's a lot of spinning the block that's going on, and it's just a lot of boldness that I see out of that kind of like makes me cringe a little bit. And I think I was talking to my mom or somebody, and I was telling them, like, it's just amazing how many relationships like that turned from like dating into marriage was like a spin the block situation. Like, you may have been in a relationship, boyfriend or girlfriend, y'all break up, a few years down the line, y'all meet back up, and now you're married. Like, there's so many stories out there like that, and it's like, man, I don't know what that would look like for me where I am in my head right now. Like, I've had people try to spin the block on me, and to be honest, I don't really love it because I feel like, how come you didn't value me the first time? Like, why do you now see who was in front of you, years later, or maybe even moments later? And I used to be down with spinning the block until I felt like it was becoming insanity. Like doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result, but it's really the same thing. Like, when do you stop spinning the block? And who do you spin the block for? You know what I'm saying? Is it depending on like how much they ignored you? Like, this person ignored you, not as much compared to the other person, so you'll let this person spin the block, but you won't let this person because maybe this one disrespected you more, or maybe this one ghosted you less, so he's okay or she's okay to spin the block. Like, how do people decide that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you decide who to let spin the block? And how many times are you going to let the same person spin the block before it's like, okay, like, is this just dead? Like, let's move on and not waste each other's time. I don't know. And a lot of people attribute spinning the block to grace. Like, let me have grace on this person. Let me have grace on the situation we were in and all of this stuff. But I don't know. I do feel like there are certain people that you're graced for. I was listening to a podcast with Jackie Hill Perry, and when she said that, I was like, I feel you. Like, there will be certain people in life to where you can deal with some of the baggage that they come with if you're graced to handle that situation. And when I say grace for the situation, I mean like you're willing to let them make it without resentment or without holding it against them. And I don't believe like everyone gets that privilege. And I'm not sure how that's decided. I guess it's just up to you and up to God on who you're graced for. But I'm like, man, I wonder if any of the people that tried to spin the block, like, am I graced for them? Like, can I extend that grace to them based off of however our circumstance ended? Or do I not have the grace for them to where I won't, hold whatever happened against them? Or even when things come up in relationships, right? Sometimes things happen, like people cheat, people are emotional cheaters, some people are angry and they raise their voice at you and stuff like that. Like, there's gonna be a threshold on what you choose to put up with, right? So I don't know, I think it's just interesting. Is spinning the block worth it? you really have to count the cost. You have to calculate the consequences associated with returning to that person again. So yeah, spinning the block. I don't know how I feel about that in this era. The next thing I was thinking about was pride. Pride is really heavy in the millennial era, or the millennial age group of people. Pride, it really gets in the way of, I feel like, people connecting. Like, you may meet somebody and no one wants to say it. Like, nobody wants to say, I like you. No one wants to say, here's how I feel. No one wants to bear their heart out nowadays. And it's kind of unfortunate, it's like so many words go left unsaid. And you wonder what would be the outcome if people just said what they feel or were more vulnerable without feeling like, oh gosh, I done said this. I wonder how they're going to take it. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about this whole pride thing, and everything's a competition. Like, oh, you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you back, and it's going to be harder than it hurt. Like, everybody's competing on who's going to hurt who. People are competing on who's going to, marry first and who's gonna, like, all this competition. It's like, where's the realness in it all? Like, there's no heart in it anymore. No one wants to do it first. No one wants to put their heart out in the open. Everyone's afraid of getting mishandled. It's just very, very sensitive out here. There's a person on Instagram, and he said something so powerful. This is in reference to, like, the black community and how they love. He said, black men know who to love but not how to love, and black women know how to love but not who to love. And I thought that was so powerful, because you can literally see that going on, like, in your own relationship, in your auntie, your cousin's relationship, in your grandmama's relationship. Like, you can see that playing out in real time, and it's so true. And I don't know how we're gonna switch it to make it make sense, So we gotta do something about this pride. The next thing, commitment issues. Nobody wants to commit to nobody and nothing. And it's really sad. Like, isn't it sad when you think about it? Like, so much gets in the way of just thriving and being happy. A lot of fear is in the way. Fear can, halt you from committing to somebody. Serial dating is going on. That's causing commitment issues, especially with online dating. You're literally swiping left, swiping right, doing all this little messaging back and forth with 5 different people, and your mind starts to not take anything seriously. Like, there's another human attached to the other side of that message, you know what I'm saying? And because we're serial dating one person after the next, no one's ready to commit once y'all are talking for like 4 months. Like, y'all been talking online for 4 months, have not met each other. You want to go to the next step. The other person is just a serial dater, not looking for commitment, not even thinking about, like, it's been 4 months and we've been talking back and forth. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, as long as my phone ain't dry, I'ma keep going. Meanwhile, the other person is like, all right, when do I cut this off now? Because you playing. So I don't know how we're going to fix that. And then the whole red flag thing. That's another thing. People are literally collecting red flags. And at this point, I used to use that term a lot. Like, oh, there's a red flag, red flag. But I'm starting to think, like, is it a red flag or is it just a deterrent because I don't want to commit, or because that person doesn't want to commit, now I have so many red flags. Or maybe I'm putting the flags on them, like, oh, they have too many red flags, so nah, this is dead, this is over with, we can't talk anymore. Like, why? Like, is it really a red flag, or it's just something that you don't like? We have to start paying more attention to these things, I think. Another thing, people are feeling pressured and trapped. They feel like, oh, because we've been, talking for 3 or 4 months, and now I want to know if we going steady or not. Oh, now I'm trapping you. Why are you putting all this pressure on me? I know you're trying to ask me, what are we? It's like, of course I am. Like, I'm spending all my days with you. All my phone, energy is going to you. And that's a problem, because you're starting to feel the pressure because you don't want to commit. I don't know. Just strange. Another thing, you start questioning the relationship so you don't commit. Like, oh, does she really like me? Does he really like me? Why do I feel like this? Why does he respond like that? You start really getting into the weeds, questioning every aspect of the relationship, just so you don't say, okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to building with you. I think we continue to get to know each other. This can turn into something that I can see as my future. No, now we want to be like, I don't think I like how he talked to his mom that day. Like, come on. You really questioning that. He was playing, but now it's replaying in your mind like, I don't think I really like that. And all of a sudden now, y'all are not talking no more, and just pushing yourself further and further away. The next problem area that I see is in the realm of spirituality and even morality, or your moral compass. No true relationship is existent without God. And nowadays, so many people are on this whole wave of, yeah, I don't go to church, but I do have a relationship with God, and oh, I'm spiritual, so I just pray and that's it. But when you have a real relationship with God, you're really lining yourself up to the Word. You're living out His principles. You're trying to be an example. And in relationships, God is just not at the forefront. People pray and you think prayer is enough. People say they read their Bible and you think that's enough. If you read your Bible and you pray, but you don't live a life according to the scriptures, and you don't live a life with the characteristics of God, are you really doing anything? Like, what's all the reading for if it's not applied? What's all the praying for if it's not applied correctly? You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like in relationships, God is so needed. You don't know what you'll face, whether it's death in the family, whether it's just how to support each other emotionally. You're going to need the wise counsel of God to intervene at some point. And for us to have partners, and in turn, hopefully spouses that are disconnected from God, like, where is your help going to come from when you need like that divine intervention? And I think I've said this before, but maybe not. Amen doesn't seal the deal. And I just feel like being equally yoked is so important in relationships. But nowadays, people don't have the same mindset when it comes to spirituality. Even like for morals, like the basic morals, judging right from wrong is missing from people. Like, their integrity is missing. They lie, they cheat, they steal. Like, people just lack character altogether in today's society. And I feel like that is getting in the way of us loving each other properly. If I can see that you'll do this person wrong, what makes me so special? Like, yeah, I'm your girl, but what assures me that you're not going to treat me this way at some point because you treat other people this way so easily? It's so easy for you to lie to your boy, or it's so easy for you to lie to the clerk at the gas station. So it must be easy to lie to me too, Like, until we get our morals and our spirituality in check, I just see it as a big problem area in us coming together. Another big thing is, if you're not tapped into God, how can you support your partner, and how can you help them grow closer to God if you're not even anchored and working towards, the things of God? Like, you want to fight temptation, right? So being with a partner who is also ready to fight temptation, that makes it that much easier for you to hold up the tenets that God preaches to us and God gives to us to uphold, if you have someone working in that same direction. If you're trying not to be tempted and you're with somebody and all they want to do is tempt you, like, how does that promote a healthy relationship with God? And I really don't believe that, you're just linked up with someone just for the physical. You're linked up with someone to, advance the kingdom of God, to make children that are disciples for God, to, build generational wealth and businesses and avenues for Christians and avenues for ministry, to where you can pull people in. Like, that's what the partnership is for. It's not always about, sleeping with each other all day and, just the comforting arm to lay on, or a hug of compassion when you're weak. Like, that's not what y'all are partnered for. Like, that's helpful. That's great when you need it. But you're also one body, one flesh, working together to advance the kingdom of God. And you have to strengthen each other up. And how can you do that if you guys are not on the same page spiritually? It's impossible. It's impossible. Next, I want to talk about the fear of the unknown. Now, this is a big problem area. This definitely stops a lot of things from going forward, because the reality is we're all human, right? We all grow, we all change. Different situations come, different events come in our lives that may rock us, and you never know how your partner is going to react. They may cling to you, or they may retreat from you. And all of that is risky. I ain't gonna hold you, it's risky. And that fear can keep us from moving forward. For instance, let's just say, you've been vibing with your husband. Well, not your husband. Yeah, let's just say your husband. Because this happens. You've been vibing with your husband. Everything's been going great for 10 years, right? Everything's cool. All of a sudden you come home and there's divorce papers, right? And you're like, whoa, why is there divorce papers? Why are you trying to divorce me? Like, everything's so well, everything's going so good. We have kids together, beautiful home, great job, and you want to leave me? Like, that is a lot to handle. And no one knows when that's going to happen. No one knows if that'll happen to them. But I know that weighs on some people's mind. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if we move forward. And I don't know how bad it'll hurt. People don't want to be rejected. So that definitely gets in the way. We don't know people's motive and intentions. And in most situations, that keeps us from moving forward with each other. Lastly, money. Money is huge. Nowadays, so many people are becoming rich off of the internet, and it's creating great lives for people. But there's also a population that still is grinding, trying to make it to the top, working their 9-to-5s, going to their job every day. And when you get together with somebody, you're combining your whole finances, your whole debts, your whole life is coming together, and that can be scary, especially if you're one of those people that have worked so hard, so hard to climb out of the gutter, and now you're linking up with somebody that could possibly strip you clean if they decide to leave you one day. That can definitely be scary and nerve-wracking. So instead, people will be like, nah, I'm not getting married because I'm not trying to have them in my pockets if it doesn't work out. And that's so sad, isn't it? That money would get in the way of your happiness. But it's the truth. It happens. And it's a very real and valid thing. Like, money is important in relationship. You just really have to trust the person you're with. And you have to really see people for who they are. Most of the time, habits don't change overnight. And once you agree to sign up to be with someone, especially if you're coming with pure motives and intentions, you have to be ready to ride that roller coaster until they can get to where they need to be. I think oftentimes people forget that you are aware. Like, you're aware of whatever issues that a person comes with, whatever baggage, whatever good things, whatever bad things. You are aware, especially if you date for a good amount of time. So once you agree to the partnership, I just feel like you can't hold that against the person if you knew. And there are tons of situations where people are literally blindsided in the area of finance with their partner. They'll think everything's on the up and up. You're thinking you're about to have this brand new husband, or you're thinking about you're about to have this brand new wife, and y'all get married, and all of a sudden there's an eviction notice, and you're like, you haven't been paying the rent. Like, that's the real thing. So you definitely do have to do your due diligence before signing that dotted line. I would definitely, try to break that veil of that secrecy that comes in with a lot of relationships, to where people don't want to be honest about where they are financially, emotionally, spiritually, their mindset. People are just afraid to be vulnerable altogether. So those are just a few things that I'm thinking about in regards to love and how the climate is nowadays. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope I gave you a few things to think about as you enter into your new relationship, as you continue to work on your relationship. If you're currently in one, I think you should talk about some of these things with your partner. If you don't have a partner, I hope you listen to this and kind of take a stance on what you truly believe and what you truly want for yourself. It's always hard to be honest with yourself when it comes to love, just because, it's such a sensitive topic. It's so emotional, but we do have to be honest with ourselves in order for us to get the greatest outcome. Thank you for listening. If you're interested in seeding into this ministry, feel free to give via Cash App using the handle $ She's Too Quiet. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Until next time, love God, love people. Deuces.